Me, Gary Bowers. For this week's assignment, I've decided I would teach how to crochet. There are a few items that are needed in order to crochet, which I will show you right here.
You'll need crochet hook. As you can see, there are various sizes. Most of them are aluminum, although you can also purchase plastic. You will also need what's commonly called tapestry needles. However, they're actually yarn needles, which are really just large-eyed needles. A pair of scissors to cut the yarn once we're done, and then, of course, the yarn itself. You can purchase the yarn in various shades, various sizes. I believe the smallest you can purchase is a 3.5 ounce skein of yarn. There's also a 7, which is what I have right here. And it even goes all the way up to a full 1 pound. Now, because we're doing a beginner crochet, it's best to start with a light color so that you're able to see the stitches as you go. Let's get started crocheting. For today's project, we're going to be using a G hook, which is 4.25 millimeters, and of course our yarn. To start, you need to make a slip knot. Now, there are a number of ways that you can make slip knots. The easiest way I've found is to wrap it through the fingers. You go over the pinky finger, behind the ring finger, over the middle finger, behind the index finger. Then, with your middle finger and thumb, you hold the yarn. Take the spot, or take the yarn in between the two fingers, the index finger and the thumb, and twist it towards you, creating a loop. When you do that, move your thumb and middle finger up so that you can actually catch the loop, like so. Then you take your crochet hook, go into the loop, and then go from left to right underneath, catching the yarn, and pull it through the loop that you made. Then you'll tighten it down so that you now have a slip knot, as you can easily see. Now, when you're crocheting, you want your yarn to be fairly loose on the hook. I myself, I like to have it loose enough to where the flat part of the hook, which is basically where you hold the hook, can go through there with minimal problems. Now, to start, we need to chain. In order to chain, you're going to do basically the same thing as a slip knot, except that you're not going to be twisting the yarn. You'll take your crochet hook, go loop underneath from left to right, catching the yarn with the hook, and pull it through. And depending on what you're making, will determine the number of chain stitches you need to make. For today's project, we're going to do, for our first row, 11 chain stitches. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3 stitches so far. And then it's just, like I said, go from underneath, left to right, catch it, pull through. There's 4, 5, 6, 7. Sometimes you have to move your hand up in order to keep the proper tension on your hook or on your yarn. 8, 9, 10, and 11. So your initial row should look like this. This is a chain row. Now, to do a single crochet, we're going to be heading back across the chain row. And to do that, you don't go back into the stitch you just did, but you go into the one prior to that. Go into the stitch, loop over, pull back through the stitch, so you now have 2 loops on your hook, then loop over and pull through both. That is a single crochet. And you continue that all the way across. loop over, pull through, loop over, pull through both. Loop over, pull through, loop over, pull through both. When you get to the end of the row, you'll have 10 single crochets on your row, or for your row, and then we'll be ready to turn to go back the other direction. And when you get to your last stitch on the row, especially for your first row, make sure it's the stitch and not the actual knot from your slip knot. If you've lost count, then it's very easy to just stop what you're doing and count your stitches. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we're good. Now, in order to go back the other way, to continue this, we will loop over and do another chain, which is called a turning chain. Then we will turn the whole piece around, and skipping the chain, you'll go into the last single crochet you did, loop over, pull through, loop over, pull through both. And you'll do this all the way across. Loop over, pull through, loop over, pull through both. All right. As you can see, I've continued on. I'm about 11 rows in, and we just, again, loop over, pull through, loop over, pull through both, and you just continue that all the way across. And then we would be done with our little swatch that we're making here. And we should have 10 stitches across. Let's count, make sure. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like I skipped a stitch. Great thing about crochet, if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. You can just take your hook out and pull it out until it's back to where it was. And yet right there is where I skipped the stitch. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make our loop a little bigger so we can get the hook back in. Tighten it back down, not too terribly much. And we'll finish it off. 1. And let's recount just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. So now we have a nice little square swatch. So the only thing we have left to do is to cut the excess off. We take our trusty little scissors, cut. We can pull the unnecessary out, and then we'll weave in our ends. To weave in the ends, again, you need your little yarn needle or tapestry needle. Pull the yarn through. And to weave in the ends, all you're going to do is just weave it back through the various, or through the stitches. Just like so. Pull it through. Take that out. And we'll cut off the extra. That can now be thrown away. And then we'll do the other side as well. Same thing. Just weave it back through the stitches. Just like so. Pull it through. Take the needle out. Cut off the extra. And there you go. You have a little square. Now with single crochet and chain stitches, which is what we've done, there are so many different patterns out there that you can get that use just those 2 stitches. So have fun crocheting.